Hello everyone, thanks for tuning to our latest video. So I said on Friday night that we were going to change the direction of the Gavin Partridge channel. We're going to move away from Star Wars and start talking about some personal things and also things that interest me. At the moment, I'm quite interested about what's happening with the coronavirus, with COVID-19. This virus is behaving unlike pretty much any virus that I'm aware of in its huge discrepancy between at the one hand like being very, very mild, almost to the point where you won't even know that you have it, right the way through to absolutely killing people within a relatively short space of time. And from those two extremes you have a very, very broad range of symptoms and also of different effects it has on the body. It's primarily, of course, a respiratory illness, but it by no means only affects the respiratory system. It can affect the heart, the liver, the kidneys can be very badly affected with this virus as well. And so, from like a scientific and medical point of view, I have been quite interested in keeping up with the news on this, and I noticed this at Sky News earlier today. Doctors warn of strange phenomena in COVID-19 patients. I thought I'd just talk about this for this video. Just say that if you're enjoying the videos on the channel, then please like, share and subscribe, and let us know in the comments what you think. So the title is Coronavirus, Doctors Warn of Strange Phenomena in COVID-19 Patients. The byline is some COVID-19 patients with extraordinarily low blood oxygen levels have been able to chat to doctors and scroll on their phones. So let's get into this. The piece begins, doctors treating coronavirus patients have noticed a strange phenomena among some sufferers dubbed happy hypoxia. Hypoxia, of course, is the starvation of oxygen from the brain. And if it's bad enough and goes on for long enough, it can result in brain death and in the death of the patient, unfortunately. And they have warned that the condition could be deadly. Some COVID-19 patients with extraordinarily low blood oxygen levels have been able to chat to doctors, scroll on their phones, and have generally described themselves as comfortable, according to Science magazine. A normal blood oxygen saturation is at least 95%, and in most lung diseases such as pneumonia, if these levels drop, they have adverse effects, including fluid-filled lungs and or rising levels of carbon dioxide, leaving the patient feeling short of breath. And of course, if the carbon dioxide gets too high, that will lead to unconsciousness and eventually to patient passing away. It continues, but while patients struggle to breathe with damaged lungs in serious cases of COVID-19, early in the disease, low blood oxygen levels is not always coupled with obvious respiratory difficulties. Science magazine reported coronavirus patients can be breathing comfortably with normal, now listen to this, coronavirus patients can be breathing comfortably with normal carbon dioxide levels, but have oxygen saturation levels in the 70s, 60s, and 50s, or even lower, the journal said. If you have a 50% oxygen saturation level, you will normally be unconscious or at the point of death, really. So this is very, very strange what we're seeing here. Although mountain climbers have similar readings, some doctors believe it is potentially ominous in COVID-19 patients. Nicholas Caputo, an emergency physician in New York, told the publication. Dr. Jonathan Barnard Smith, a consultant in critical care and anaesthesia at the Manchester Royal Infirmary, told The Guardian that it was an example of very abnormal physiology going on before our eyes. We're seeing oxygen saturations that are very low and patients are unaware of that, he said. We wouldn't usually see this phenomena in influenza or community-acquired pneumonia. Theories are emerging around the cause of happy hypoxia in coronavirus patients, with many doctors now recognising clotting, blood clotting I suppose, as a major feature of severe COVID-19. and then a pneumologist from Sao Paulo told Science she believes subtle clotting might begin early in the lungs, preventing blood from getting properly oxygenated. The phenomenon has also prompted a debate on how to best to treat coronavirus patients. It goes on a little bit more, but this is really, really unusual and quite bizarre that we are almost seeing like altitude sickness type effect from this virus, and people can have very, very low levels of oxygen within their blood but are still able to function, and in some cases may not even think they are all that sick. And this is what's making, I think, this virus so very, very insidious with some people, because I think what is happening here is that very early on it may appear that you are not all that unwell really with it, but you are probably, if you haven't got an oximeter, which is the little thing that goes on the finger and registers the amount of oxygen that you got in your blood, if you haven't got one of those, you probably don't realise how very, very unwell you are getting. And so the virus kind of creeps up on you, I would suspect, and sort of takes over your system, but you don't know initially that you are becoming extremely unwell, and then I imagine the systems just kind of collapse as the virus takes over further. And I mean, to be having blood oxygen levels around 60%, 50%, but still be able to function relatively normally is highly unusual. And again, it just goes to show how insidious and nasty this virus is in what it's doing, because it's taking over the patient's body in a very subtle and rather slow and gradual way a lot of the time, and so the patient doesn't realise they're getting as unwell as they are until it gets very late on, and then I suppose when the patient finally gets to hospital, the treatment options are quite limited. So this is a very, very nasty virus, quite clearly, and you know, it's a very unusual virus as well, in that its symptoms can be so mild in some people but so devastating in others. And I've got an article saved that I'll probably show in another video, the huge number of systems within the body that this virus can attack is very, very unusual as well. Something like the flu does not do what this virus is doing. So this is a very, very, very strange virus, and we have to be really, really careful with this. The reason that we are all in lockdown as we are is because this virus is so very, very virulent in a large number of patients, and yeah, it's a really nasty virus, and we've got to be very careful with it. So the message is, of course, to stay home, protect the NHS, and to save lives. Wash your hands as frequently as you possibly can, and take all of the precautions that you need if you have to go out. But of course, social distancing is very important. You've got to be about 2 meters apart and about 6 feet apart from other people, and also I think we're going to see the recommendation of masks coming very soon. If you've got to go to the grocery store and whatnot, then I think we will be seeing increasingly a recommendation of masks coming, and we've just got to be very, very careful with this. But hopefully, we know we're now over the peak. We know that we're past the peak and they've managed to flatten the curve through the lockdown. So now we've got to see how things go as we come out of the lockdown. But it could be that it'll flare up again. Hopefully it won't, but it could be that this will flare up again as we start to come out of the lockdown. The lockdown will only be able to be eased very, very gradually. But yeah, quite what this virus is doing in the way it is very insidiously attacking its patients. And in so many different ways, and again we'll talk about this in a future video, so many different organs within the body can be affected by this virus in many different ways, and the way that it is doing its work to take over the patient's body is very unusual. It's a really, really nasty virus, and we do need to be very, very careful with it. Right, so let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll probably do another upload about the COVID-19 virus in the coming days. Please like, share, and subscribe, and as I say, let us know in the comments what you think. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.